Hello everyone and welcome to Unsportsmanlike Conduct. I'm Christian Stoynev and today we are starting this episode with the hottest thing going in the NBA, which is Steph Curry. The man is on fire. He is leading the league in scoring with 31.4 points per game this season. And well, yesterday he did it again. They played the Sixers and he scored over 30 for the 11th straight game. He's still a ways away from James Harden, who leads everyone in that feat in history of basketball. But he did pass Kobe, who had scored 30 straight in 10 straight games back in 2002. And now Steph has done it in 11 straight games. And this is how he did it last night. To the city of brotherly love we go, where Joel Embiid and the Sixers hosted the Warriors. And the Sixers got off to a great start. They were without Ben Simmons and without Tobias Harris in this one. But the role players came through big in the beginning. Danny Green there with the three, put them up 15-6. But then Steph wasn't going to let this game get away. Here with the elbow three to pull the Warriors within 7. Next possession, Steph, back it up. Bang. 3-ball again for Steph Curry. He had 10 3-pointers in this game. Here on little brother Seth. Hey, little brother, let me teach you how it's done, buddy. Ties the game up right before the end of the first quarter. Steph, man, he's just magical. Look at this. Nobody's trying to foul him. He knows that. Buckets. All right, but Joel Embiid trying to make a case for the MVP this season. He puts the Sixers up 3 here in the fourth. And this is where Steph just took over. Same spot right there, as you'll see now in the next play as well. He hit 3 straight 3-balls from right there. So a little bit on the Philly Sixers defense right there to kind of stop him from there. Like, you should know better. He's made 2 in a row. Don't let him get to that spot. Again, 3-ball. Bang. Steph just was feeling it in the fourth. Here the Warriors are up 6, and this is just ridiculous. Over Embiid. Swoosh. Didn't even hit the rim. So that puts the Warriors up by 9. And then just to seal the deal, Steph just playing around a little bit. Back up. Gotcha. He knew it before it even went down. Warriors win 107-96. All right, so as you guys saw there, Steph is just toying with people. He dropped 49 last night, which is unreal. He scored 20 in the last 6 minutes of that ball game. And he just looks like a dude that's playing around in a playground with little kids, not even with his peers. So it's just crazy what he's doing right now. And the craziest thing is that I just want to talk about, can we just appreciate this man? I know we always say this about LeBron, and we always say that we should appreciate while we're able to watch LeBron and his greatness, which without a doubt we definitely should. But the same can be said about Steph Curry. This man has changed the game of basketball. The way he has had an influence on so many other players that have come up after him. The fact that people are shooting threes now from way behind the line. And sometimes, a lot of times for some guys like even Dame Lillard, that's a great shot. I just want to talk about his greatness. I mean, Steph has just done so much for the game. And sometimes, everyone's so focused on the championships. How many rings do you have? He has that too. But even if he didn't have that, I mean, the guy has just been a trendsetter and he has changed the league. And it made me think about also the fact that he's likable. I mean, for me, at least personally, I really like Steph. I feel like, he could have this like crazy chip on his shoulder and talk a lot of crap, but he's he seems like he is excited to be playing. He looks like he's having a great time. I don't really see him being super disrespectful to other people, to opponents. I mean, he does a little shimmy in his dances, but I just think that that's him having fun. It's never I feel like directed at someone. So this made me think of what I perceive to be mixed in with what I think the public perceives to be the top 5 most likable current NBA superstars. And so here's my list. Coming in at number 5. At number 5, I put Steph Curry. Now, I put Steph Curry in there because we just talked about, at least for me, I try to be unbiased here. I would put him at number 1 because I love Steph. But I think for the public, he can get annoying because he's just so damn good. So as much as I do think he's really likable, I kind of had to hold off a little bit in putting him number 1 because, I feel like if you're a Cavs fan, he might be really annoying to you. If you're a Memphis Grizzlies fan, he might be really annoying. And the Houston Rockets fan, he's probably really annoying just because he's beat all these teams throughout his time in the league. And so I put him at number 5, but I do think that Steph has a certain charisma to him that it's kind of hard to hate, especially when you're watching him in a year like this, where he's kind of taken this team that is obviously without Klay Thompson and, really doesn't have much firepower, and he's somehow keeping them in contention for the play-in tournament and doing it in such a fun way. So I put Steph at number 5 because he also could have been on the most hated list, which we'll get to later. But my number 4 is Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I love Giannis. I think a lot of people love Giannis. And I think the fact that he hasn't had so much playoff success is one of the reasons he is still so likable. Obviously, most of the time we try to, judge these guys on their personalities and, who they are as people. But when you're a fan of a team, that can only go so far because at a certain point, that competitive nature kicks in, and then you start to really dislike someone when they keep whooping your ass. And so for me, I put Giannis there at number 4. And this is what I'm talking about, because in contention with him, I was going back and forth between these two. I also had Jason Tatum. Now, I don't think I didn't put Jason Tatum in there because I'm a Raptors fan, because this is where I'm going with that. As a Raptors fan, I am made to not like Jason Tatum because he is just a baller. So I kind of had to remove that bias and realize that the kid is awesome. The kid seems like such a nice guy. He's always with Deuce, his little son, and it's cute. And so I like Jason Tatum. If he was on any other team, I would be a huge Jason Tatum fan. But the only reason why I didn't put him here in this list is because Giannis has MVPs. And I do think that Jason Tatum will eventually get there, but he's not at the superstar level as a Giannis. So Giannis is at number 4. At number 3, I have Dame Dollar. Dame Lillard is my number 3 for most likable current NBA superstar. What's there not to like about Dame? So I feel like here the formula for likable superstars a lot of the times has to be with, not highly recruited, underdog story. And Dame is that. I mean, Dame wasn't drafted number 1. He wasn't number 2 or number 3. And, he didn't go to a huge college. So for someone like Dame coming out of Weber State to not only become a star in the NBA, but become really a superstar is awesome. I think he's super likable. He's not this crazy loudmouth guy. He's always pretty honest, and on interviews, he's giving you the honest takes. So for me, I really, really love Dame Lillard, and he's a baller. I mean, if you're OKC fan, it's the only specific team that doesn't like him. So I put Dame at number 3. Huge Dame Lillard fan. He has his little go to the watch type thing. It's Dame time, which is his thing. But he doesn't. Again, it's not. It hasn't gotten to the point where it's annoying yet, and maybe that's because he hasn't gotten to a championship yet. And so with success, you kind of start getting that villain mode. But Dame hasn't had that just yet. But for now, Dame is my number 3. And then my number 2 and my number 1 become younger guys because, like I said, competitive nature kicks in. And a lot of these guys, when they're getting older, you start making some more enemies with the teams that you're knocking out of the playoffs and, beating up. And I feel like this person is going to be there really soon because he's already gathered up a few buzzer beaters, and that is Luka Doncic. Luka, I love Luka. He's my number 2. I think he's got a charisma to him. He's like this just kid that's having a good time. He's still so young. And the fact that he wasn't selected with the number 1 overall pick, it gives him that chip on his shoulder. And really the only team that probably roots against him is Atlanta because of the Trae Young trade and all that. So other than that, I mean, I don't know. It's hard not to like Luka as of right now. But like I said, he's already had a couple buzzer beaters, and the further he goes on into his career, the more playoff victories he starts accumulating, the more teams are really gonna not like him because he's always knocking out their teams. So for right now, though, Luka's my number 2 and most likable NBA superstars, and my number 1 might come as a surprise to you, but who doesn't like Zion? I mean, let's be real. Zion is super charismatic. The kid is a joy to watch. He seems super nice. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always playing hard. He does the effort plays. He says all the right things. So for right now, Zion is the most likable. I love the kid, and I think most people would say the same. There's not a team out there that I don't think hates him or anything. And, I don't think that'll last for too long, because with the years ahead of his playing career, I'm sure he's going to make a lot of teams lose hair and get frustrated with him. But Zion for right now is my number one most likable superstar. He's only in his second year, and he's already, super likable. I mean, I just think that because he's young, he's not on the super winning team. So Zion is my guy for number one on the most likable list. And now I'm going to take a look at the most hated top 5 NBA superstars in the NBA. And this one was a kind of hard list to make, because I was trying to stay away from the Brooklyn guys, but it was really tough. And actually, real quick, I'm just going to mention a couple honorable mentions for the most likable top 5. I put Jimmy Butler in there because, Jimmy Buckets, even his old team, his original team that he left and got traded from, the Bulls, everyone that I know that is a Bulls fan still loves Jimmy Butler. So Jimmy Buckets, honorable mention for the top 5 most likable superstars. Again, I just didn't put him on there because he might just be not quite that kind of superstar where like he might win an MVP. I also had Nikola Jokic. What's not to like? His game is awesome. But it was just kind of tough to put him, even though he is having an MVP type season. But I think maybe the fact that he's on the Nuggets and he just hasn't really, he doesn't really, you don't hear him speak much. His personality is kind of low key. It's kind of like Kawhi. But, there's not much coming out from the Jokic party. So, all right, moving on to the top 5 most hated. Sorry, there's a lot of guys from Brooklyn that's on here, but this is just how it goes. All right, the number 5. So in this case, the least hated out of these 5, I put Russell Westbrook. I personally love Russell Westbrook. I think he is full of effort and energy. And, sometimes you could argue too passionate and it hurts his team, but it's coming from a good place where he's always just trying to win the game for his squad. But I definitely know a lot of people that do not like Russ. Russ gets under people's skin. I get that. He's very showy. He wears all this fancy random clothes, and it seems like he's so egocentric kind of guy. But for me, I love Russ. But like I said, I was trying to be unbiased here and think of the general public as well. So I put Russ as my number 5. Number 4 at most hated, I put KD. So you got to take a look back at how we got here with KD. So obviously, I think he was in the top 5 loved superstars in the beginning when he was with OKC. But then he leaves the Thunder and he went to the Warriors, who just came back and beat the Thunder from being down 3-1. Right away, created a bunch of enemies. Everyone in Oklahoma pretty much. And everyone who just looked at him like, dude, you're just hopping onto a winning team. So right automatically there, I say KD lost a lot of people. And then not only that, going from the Warriors now after winning a couple championships with them to then going to Brooklyn. And obviously he was injured last year, but, then started to recruit these other guys. So I just think the fact that he's on that team also didn't help him being on the team with full of superstars. So KD, I'm sorry, but you're on this list. You're at number 4. Number 3, I could have put this man at number 1, but that's just simply because of all the haters out there. And he's only on this list because, to be quite honest, he's just that good. And that's LeBron. LeBron James is number 3 on this list. I think LeBron is obviously the best player in the league that we have seen, and he's done it. He's been dominating the NBA for 15 years or so at least. But that's what happens when you're that great. People start to hate. And so I put LeBron at number 3. I couldn't decide whether I would put him at number 1 or number 5. So I slotted him right there in the middle at number 3. I think he's loved by Cleveland Cavs fans. But if I were being the biased Raptor fan, I hate LeBron. Because we never got to beat LeBron and we never could get past LeBron and the Cavs. But like I said, I'm trying to be unbiased here. And that's just me hating. So, but in reality, a lot of people are hating on LeBron. So he wins another championship last year with the Lakers. All the like off court, like talking to other players, trying to recruit Anthony Davis to come play with him. How they traded away the Wiggins pick so that they could get Kevin Love. The Miami Heat years with D Wade and Chris Bosh. All that accumulated to him having basketball success equals haters. So LeBron is number 3. Number 2, most hated, I put Kyrie Irving. Kyrie just, if I'm being that guy that's paying attention to basketball, I know Kyrie hit the big shot, but that championship that Cleveland won over the Warriors, 0% possible without LeBron James. That was LeBron James's championship. Yes, Kyrie was awesome. Yes, Kyrie's a superstar, but there's 0 chance without LeBron that they win that championship. And without Kyrie, if you plugged in another guy, another really good point guard, there's still a chance that they win that championship. And that's just what it comes down to me. And, he takes all the credit for the big shot, correct. But again, without LeBron, none of it is possible. Without LeBron, Kyrie wouldn't be this big superstar that he is today, because he would be known for dribbling and making some awesome moves and laying it up random ways and everything. But he wouldn't have a chip, in my opinion. That was LeBron being able to help him to get that championship. And think about it. He leaves Cleveland after LeBron leaves, and then he goes to Boston. In Boston, he didn't last a year there without being disliked already. So it's kind of starting to accumulate. And now with Brooklyn, he does the whole thing. He's had more personal days, I think, than are allowed for a regular job. So he just takes days off all the time, his wild takes and everything, which to me don't matter, because that's off the court stuff that I think he's entitled to whatever opinions he has about anything. But when it comes to transparency and just being real with people sometimes, I just think that it's easy to dislike Kyrie. I'm sorry, Kyrie. You're number 2. And number 1, like I said, I just couldn't stay away. But it has to be James Harden right now. James Harden goes from being loved in OKC. They make the trade. He goes to Houston. What a great story. He comes through. He becomes this crazy, awesome superstar for the Houston Rockets. So at that point, I don't think he's that hated. But people don't like him probably because he's dribble, ISO ball, shoot. Dribble, ISO ball, shoot. And so people just didn't like that. So people didn't like the Houston Rockets style. It was all James Harden based. It was everything James Harden. The MVP season. So people just kind of were starting to hate on Harden. They were saying, where are you coming through in the playoffs? Because he wouldn't really show up. And even that, I think, just was fueled by the hate, because in some of these series, he was putting up numbers, and, maybe he didn't make the game winners, but the dude was still playing at a good level in the playoffs. But then you do this whole thing in the beginning of this season about getting out of Houston, and the way he did all that, I can't get behind that. I think he's been having an awesome basketball season, but the way you handle your professionalism has to do with the basketball player that you are. And so personally, I personally didn't like that, the way he handled the Houston situation, and the way he got himself out of there and traded to Brooklyn. And the fact that, just like KD, the fact that he's on this team, he went to join the team with superstars, also I think gains a lot of people on that hate bandwagon. So James Harden for this season is number 1 of current most hated NBA superstars. And, an honorable mention that I put on here, I put 2 of them. I don't have a particular problem with these guys, but I know Joel Embiid can probably get under the skin of a lot of people. As a Raptor fan, I know what that was like when he was doing the whole airplane thing against us in the playoffs, but I don't read into that too much. That's why I love Russ, because I just think it's the emotion of the game. As long as it's not directed at another particular player and you're kind of doing it in your own, world or whatever, I'm cool with it. That's you just showing emotion. I like that, actually. If it wasn't for that, I'd be just watching, robots play basketball. I like to see that emotion. I like to see these guys show that intensity and let it be seen. Let that emotion show. So I put Joel Embiid in there because I could see him getting under the skin of a lot of people. And Chris Paul also. I don't know why I feel like Chris Paul isn't very liked. It might have to do with the fact that he's been the head of the Players Association and stuff. But, basketball-wise, the dude's incredible. The dude is amazing. He's a winning player. I really didn't think of him as a winning player this much until he went to OKC last year. I love the way he handled that. He was professional. He made the team better. He helped the young guys. Now he goes to Phoenix, and they're having a great year. So, but I just put him on there because I felt like it's surprising to me how many people actually, don't give him the respect that he's due, and including myself. It didn't, it was a while until I actually respected him. So that's the list. Top 5 most liked NBA superstars and top 5 most hated current NBA superstars. We can close the book on that one. All right, moving on. Got to talk a little bit about the NFL. Putting this away. Basketball is over. So I had a thought about the NFL with the NFL draft coming up that I just wanted to talk about. And that is, I was thinking as a Vikings fan that the Vikings with the 14th pick in this year's draft might very likely be drafting an offensive lineman. So it's either that or an edge rusher because those are the biggest positions of need. So the one thing I will say with drafting an offensive lineman, because I've seen the Vikings do this a couple times, they usually draft an O-lineman in the second or third round. And to be honest, they haven't had very good luck with that. But when they've drafted position players like Justin Jefferson in the first round, that's been pretty solid. So one of the things that next time I have a guest on, I'll probably talk with them about, but I just wanted to put this in people's minds, is I'm not quite sure as to why people, draft, I would say, I guess, linemen in the first round. And I'm not trying to knock the linemen here, but it seems to me like not just because quarterback is the most important position on the field, but it's also the most expensive. So as a general manager, I would think that the strategy is to look at positions of value, essentially. So, a wide receiver can get pretty expensive. Quarterback, the most expensive. Running backs aren't that expensive anymore. But if you talk about on the defense, some of these guys that are getting paid big money, that's where I would draft high. Because I can pay top value for an offensive lineman in free agency. And if my position skill players like my wide receiver and my quarterback and my tight end are there on rookie scale deals, then, that means winning because you sign free agency, you use that big money on the linemen who are going to be there and going to dominate the line for you, and then you're saving money essentially by having, let's say you draft, you have 2 receivers that are on rookie scale deals that are playmakers. That's solid right there. The Vikings, if they didn't have Adam Thielen and this year drafted Jamar Chase, let's just say, for example, or Devontae Smith, now you have Justin Jefferson and Devontae Smith. Your salary that you're attributing to wide receivers is on rookie deals pretty much. Your number 3 wide receiver would probably could be getting paid more than your number 1 and your number 2. And if that's the case, that money right there that you saved, you use on a lineman, and that's where you just pay top dollar for the lineman. So it was just something that came into my head. I wanted to throw this idea out there. And like I said, next time I have a guest on, I do want to kind of talk about this, and I wonder how these draft rooms, what their strategy is when I think about those kind of things, because, it's almost like the value of having a high pick nowadays. One of the highest values about it is that they're on rookie scale deals and you have these guys on a cheap contract for 4 to 5 years. So wouldn't you rather have the more expensive guys on the cheaper deals for 4 or 5 years? So that's almost a strategy that I was thinking about, that I wonder how much that goes into play when it comes to linemen. Just seeing guys like Penei Sewell, on a lot of mock drafts being, scheduled to possibly get drafted at number 6 overall. I think about that, and I think about, man, if you could get one of these top-notch wide receivers, the wide receiver might be a lot more expensive than the lineman, in 5 years. So why not save that money now and, and figure it out from there with the line and just sign him. I get that the games are won and lost in the trenches, but just something I was thinking about. And maybe somebody that will come on next can kind of set me straight and tell me why that wouldn't make sense. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. I will be back hopefully with another episode later this week. And we will see what else Steph Curry is doing, what the chef is cooking up. And until then, I'll be looking out for more headlines, whether it's the NFL or the NBA. And maybe something happens crazy in baseball as well. Not much other than the Yankees stink right now, and I don't like it. I'm a Yankees fan. Sucks. They're 5-10. Get better, Yankees. All right. Till the next episode, thank you guys for joining. And don't forget, subscribe if you can. I will see you guys next time. Thanks.